Let's give it up for Ben! Thank you, Chris. I don't know about famous. Last time I checked, the YouTube views were like maybe 1,000. But hey, if you want to check out that series, Ask a Civics Teacher, please do. So like Chris mentioned, my name is Ben Rangel. I teach high school government at Cristo Rey Jesuit High School, Milwaukee. Where are all my other Cristo Rey folks at? Okay, all right. We already got some good Milwaukee representation too. But in true teacher form, I was asked to sort of energize the crowd before you went to the Capitol. And I thought to myself, what could be more energizing than a quick Monday morning civics lesson? Right? Ready for some civics? So, you know, it's Monday, you'd be in class normally anyway, so why not? So let's start at the beginning. You might remember one of the foundational documents, right? The Declaration of Independence says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which connect them with another. And so here we are, in the course of human events, one people, maybe not quite ready to entirely dissolve our political bands, right? But certainly to demand something better, to demand something more just, to demand something more reflective of some of the basic rights expressed in that same document. Rights like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now we know, right, we know that those rights have been ignored for so many, promises unfulfilled. And so often we find ourselves asking the question, the right to life, but for whom? The right to liberty, but whose liberty? Right? The right to the pursuit of happiness, but whose happiness? And so that's why we're here today, to demand nothing unique or novel. We're simply asking for them to uphold the basic principles we were promised from the very beginning: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So now I want to bring you to the second part of my lesson. In that same document, there's this idea, and I teach it in my class, kids love it, they know it, but it's this idea of consent of the governed. Consent of the governed. You all are the governed, the people. And you all need to give permission to those folks to do anything, right? And so let me ask you, Ignatian family, are we okay with what the government's doing? No! Do we consent with their behavior, to their behavior? No! Do we consent to the way our government has been virtually silent on climate change? No! Do we consent to the treatment of immigrants and refugees the way our government treats them? No! Do we consent to this idea that in order to have a better life, folks need to travel across the Darien Gap, as we heard yesterday? Folks need to travel and get bloodied and scarred. Do we consent to that? No! Do we consent to this idea that the government should allow pipelines to crisscross our nation, destroying entire ecosystems? No! And so, the question is, what shall we do? Well, it's exactly what we're here to do. You're here to do today, right? Because in that same document, they say if you don't consent to what they're doing, you have the right, no, the responsibility to speak up. And so that's what we're here to do: to demand, to organize, to gather, to witness, and to bring the gospel values Father Massingale referenced to Capitol Hill. And that brings me to the last part of my lesson. Hope you're still awake. It is Monday morning. And that's another important document, a document that begins with the famous lines, "We the people." And so when we look for hope in precarious times, look no further than the people. When we look for hope in precarious times, look no further than those around you. When we look for hope in precarious times, look no further than yourself. You are the hope that you seek. So if we are going to demand our government is better, if we do not consent to the status quo, then it's up to us, the people, to make a difference. And after all, it's the people who should have the power in our country. And so when I say people, you say power. People. Power. People. Power. People. Power. And that's exactly what you have, power. Don't let anyone ever take it from you and bring it with you to Capitol Hill. Thank you very much.